Hello and welcome to a Tuesday night edition of the Buddy Martin Show. Glad to be with you tonight, and despite a few internet problems, we'll get past those. Join us shortly if we can get the internet to work, if it wants to cooperate. So let's do this. Let's set things up. It's kind of a quirky night. It's always a quirky night with David Whitley, one of the funniest guys I know. We're going to take a little bit different look of something called WTH. You know what it means? What's going on around here? And let's talk about some of the changes we see. And what about this new stadium? I'm sure David Whitley has some good thoughts about that. Maybe modernize it to fit the current downturn of Gator football. All that coming your way tonight, plus Coach Loren Meadows and whatever else is on your mind. Talk about some of the transfer portal stuff, the usual stuff, right here on the Buddy Martin Show. Stay tuned. It's coming to you right now.
Martin, call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome to a Wednesday, I'm ahead of myself. I wish it was Wednesday, Tuesday night edition of the Buddy Martin Show. I'm getting ready to take a trip. My mind's way ahead, running too fast. Maybe David Whitley can slow it down for us tonight. He's always good at that kind of thing. And my gosh, it's just a difficult thing to translate what's happening out there in the college football world. I know David Whitley has got it nailed. He'll be able to figure it all out for us. Good evening to the maestro from the Gainesville Sun, David Whitley. What's up, Mr. Whit?
Well, let's see. I hear you're going on a trip. Are you entering the portal? You going somewhere?
I am kind of going to portal, yeah. I'm going to be out for a few days. Headed out to maybe the west a little bit for a few days, and then I'll be back. I'll be back in the fold next week, but just a few days off.
Not the Trevor Etienne thing. You will return.
Well, I'm waiting to see what kind of coach they get around here.
Okay.
And, I mean, we can do that too in the media. So let's just say we're out in the portal. We find out who's coaching the team. And if it's not somebody we like, we won't come back to the games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, last I heard, they still have a coach. You know,
they do. They do. He's
coach.
taking a beating right now,
Yes.
and I fear for what might happen if he doesn't get out of the box real strong, go about 4-1 or whatever. It's going to be a tough way to go. And at that class, you know me, I'm not negative Nelly here. I'm very positive about the Gators. And my take on it is usually that all things shall pass and you get to a better day. But this one is getting perilously close to a problem. And if you get a situation, momentum going the wrong way, and you've seen it happen. Mm-hmm. And do I think Billy deserves another year? Yeah, maybe two. But even Urban Meyer said that on Friday when we talked, let me be clear, he was not ripping Billy Napier. He thinks Napier's a good coach and hopes he can get it turned around. But he said, do the fans have a right to be concerned? And he said, yes, they do. This is Florida, an elite program, and they deserve to have some answers and see some results. Instead of talking about the process, how about the results? And that's exactly right, in my opinion. We got to see some results. And how do we measure it? We don't know how to measure it in the transfer portal. We don't know what's going on there. We see players coming out, going out like Etienne and Milan and however you say his name, and other guys. We don't know how to report this story. I have a hard time with it, David. Are you?
Yeah. Well, first, congratulations on the Urban stuff, because I read that 5 or 6 different places where people picked that up, and it was news, because him weighing in on something that people are is high on everybody's important list right now, and plus he had something interesting to say about it. Like you said, he wasn't ripping Billy, but he laid it out as somebody who knows he's been in that hot seat.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's always been. I mean, it's no hotter for Billy than it would have been for Urban.
Absolutely not.
He can relate to what's going on better than just about anybody.
Yeah.
And what he said was true. It's you got to have that's tangible things. The things that Billy can point to on the culture and stuff like that. It sounds good, but it's got to lead to something. And ultimately it's got to lead to a W, more W's than L's. And of course, how many more W's than L's will matter? Well, that's something we can talk about for the next 8-9 months. But I do know this, though, that you will be the barometer on this whole thing, because when Nixon lost Cronkite on the Vietnam War, it was over. You are the Walter Cronkite.
What did I be? Could be anywhere close to Walter Cronkite. I like him, but anyway, I thought about maybe
Walter.
Yeah, I'm at the age. I got the age going for me. I know that. Yeah. I don't have the gray. I don't have the mustache.
Martin, he's lost the war.
Look. Here's the thing about Urban, and I know a lot of people don't like him. I get it, whatever. But the reason that, and I'm thinking maybe I should write that story since everybody else has written, and it was my interview. Maybe I should write this week. But here's the thing about it. It was right down the middle and very accurate and true. But the reason it was so thunderous was that nobody else is saying anything, including Billy. Mm-hmm. They don't give us anything, any perspective. Who do you go to say what's going on in Florida and then how's it going to be fixed and evaluate something? We have no evaluations. So how do we do it, David? I had a guy tell me this morning on Shane Matthews, Pot Up with Matthews show, which I do every Tuesday morning with Shane. We're talking about the responsibility of reporters and or media types, whatever you want to call them, have to find out information and give it to their public, their readers or listeners. And I was shouted down. And when one guy says, people have no right to know what's going on in Florida. When did that happen? I mean, I thought that was our job, to try to shed a little light on the subject when everybody's trying to cover it up and not talking about it. I've seen this rodeo a few times, and so have you. It never ends good when there's a dictatorship. And when you don't have somebody honest to illuminate it for you and try to put it in perspective, then it gets the sense there's no accountability, and therefore we're in the dark, David.
Yeah, I would think just from a fan standpoint, you'd want to know what's going on. Any person who says, you don't have a right to tell us what's going on. Well, why aren't you curious about, it reminds what's going on. I don't know. It's sort of relatable, but LSU women's basketball, which has become a big deal, and like their star didn't play for 3 weeks, and Kim Mulkey wouldn't say why, and she has none of your business. Well, I mean, this is why people show up and tune in, and go to games, and so they're
and buy tickets. Yeah,
and buy tickets. And just to say, it's none of your business, man. She's telling fans, just show up, buy your tickets, don't ask any questions. You have no right to know why this person isn't playing. That's not how they're invested in this too.
No.
Yeah, and you're right. I wish there was a particular, a wise person on top of the mountain to go to and say, tell us what is going on here. But there's really nobody. I mean, we know how the whole system works. I mean, ultimately, it's going to be Scott Strickland's decision, if not Ben Sass's decision. And Scott's going to say, Billy's, it's on track. We have faith, and on and on and on. I mean, what else can he say at this point? Yeah, I mean, but so much depends on that. I'm just thinking, tomorrow night is the schedule reveal.
Yes.
They made that, and it'll be real interesting to see. I mean, a lot of things, but also just how stacked it is early on, how tough it's going to be that first month.
Yeah. We'll be able to assess that, like what's the over under on wins and losses. I mean, how many games? Will they accept 6 wins, or will they even accept a 3-3 record in the first 6 games? And I say they because here's the other thing: the new bell cow is also the money guys. They're saying they've been telling people, and I know this for a fact, because I say, well, fact, I heard secondhand. Nothing gets firsthand anymore. They say, well, we got our checkbooks out for you last time, and we haven't seen the results. We're not willing to put any more in this till you show us some results. So it seems like the money people know what's going on, but the public's not allowed to know that. So I'm not comfortable with that at all, and I'm not comfortable when Billy refuses to name names or keeps things to. And Billy will go a whole press conference for 10 minutes and say nothing. He will filibuster. He just talk. And I asked your coach about that one time. I said, what is that all about? He said, well, where did he coach? I said, what do you mean? He said, he worked for Nick Saban, right? What does Nick Saban do? He's following the model. Well, I'm sorry, he's not Nick Saban. He's not allowed to stand up and say nothing for 10 minutes. Now, it's not like I'm bashing Billy. I'm not really bashing Billy, but what is the deal here? How are we supposed to know? How are we supposed to know what's going on here? Don't you feel a little bit of compulsion to at least try to get information and share it with your readers, David? I know you do because you're a journalist.
Yeah. Well, you pointed to the money guys, and money's always played a role in a team and team building, but not to the extent it has developed in the last couple of years, where, I mean, basically, since the advent of NIL, it's all about who can pay the players enough. And but before, in the old days, even, in the old when everybody was cheating and stuff, kids weren't getting $1 million.
No.
Herschel didn't get $1 million. Nobody was getting $1 million plus. So it takes
starting quarterbacks get $1 million today. Starting quarterbacks, you get them at the portals what they cost.
Right. But this inflation, this skyrocket. I mean, you talk about they need an Inflation Reduction Act in college football.
Yeah, really. Yeah,
it is skyrocketed, and now those big money boosters really have more impact than ever before.
Yeah, they run the show now.
Yeah, and just out of default, whether they want to or not, people depend on them, much more than ever. And if they say, all right, look, I wrote a 7-figure check last year, and you don't get to have that much liquid without having some business sense and knowing you need a return on investment. And just your blind loyalty to the orange and blue will only take you so far before you say, look, I love my school, but at some point I got to start, got to show me something, as you said.
Yeah.
And so, it is, it's always been tough to. The whole booster thing has always been very opaque. You're not going to have somebody, I gave this, I gave that. So it's just make it tougher than ever for Gary Connor's not going to come out and say, I'm cutting off it's very unlikely somebody in that position is going to come out and say, I've had enough.
I'm not going to say it publicly. No, for sure. Well, I mean, look, even Shane this morning backed off. I said, Shane, don't you think you have a responsibility to tell people? I said, no. None of my business. None of your business. You're doing a daily show about a team that you follow and played for, and you tell me it's none of your business? It's every bit your business, What are you supposed to do? I don't know what you're hearing, but people on this show and people I talk to, they're kind of getting a little fed up with this. Even some of the staunchest people I know that are Billy fans, I have a friend of mine who used to coach high school ball who's pretty smart with things like this. And I wrote it down and posted it. He said, I'm starting to worry about our football coach. He doesn't seem to have any urgency. I hope I'm wrong. Here's a guy who likes it, promote, and so that's what they're saying, even the ones that like him. So, I mean, the ball's squarely in Scott's court. Now, we told one person, he said to me, well, he'll be fired before Billy will. I don't know. There's some big money people who are very unhappy with their ROI. And I don't blame them. Producer, you can't just take it, we'll get to it, trust the process, give us 5 years. You don't get that anymore. And people are getting antsy. This is what I'm hearing, David. What are you hearing from your readers and fans?
Yeah, well, I think that people might buy into the 5-year thing if they were seeing progress, but they didn't see it in year 2. I mean, there you can point to another thing, but that Arkansas game was just a killer.
You can't lose games like that. You cannot lose games.
Right. And because had they won that, at least right now, they would be practicing for the bowl. Would give us something tangible to chew on every day. looking ahead. But, after that, they were just, they screwed themselves basically because they put themselves where they had to win a game that they probably weren't going to win. They didn't win those games.
Yeah.
And that, when you can't go into an off season with 5 straight losses and have people feeling good about the program.
Exactly right. You cannot.
And the finds that there's nothing that they can do in the next 8 months to make up for that. I mean, short of suddenly they steal 10 5-stars from Georgia and Alabama in the next week, but that ain't going to happen. At this point, it would be considered a resounding success if they hold on to what they have.
That's the key. Can they hold on to the class of 24? That's the big. If he starts losing more of those now, and who knows what the portal's going to bring about. Someone could offer DJ Lagway. In fact, there's a rumor out there that A&M's going after him. They could offer him $2 million. What are you going to do? Say no? It's the NFL Junior League now. That's what it is. It's the most money wins in that regard. So I just don't know where it's going. I can't. My compass is. I don't have a compass anymore. I have no sense of where it's going, what's happening, who's doing it. I mean, I'd like to believe that Billy's got a grip on it, but the biggest complaint I hear from people is that he doesn't act fast enough. I know he's deliberate, but sometimes you got to get out there and get it. I mean, like somebody said, one of the basketball coaches said, I like the NIL because I go to the player and say, how much? And I say, okay or no. And it's no recruiting, just make a decision on money and go. So that's just crazy.
Yeah, they could use something in the portal, because you read about these other people going here and there, and I mean, frankly, I couldn't name 6 offensive linemen in America. I could name some of the QBs out there that are coming and going and have some idea. And last year was a bit easier because everybody knew they needed a QB, and for better or worse, they got a name that everybody knew something about, Graham Mertz. It was something. But there's. The QB and Mertz coming back, was that was the best news Florida could have gotten. In the last month, him coming back. But what they really need in the portal, like offensive linemen, and I could short of some guy, again, I'm sure there's an All-American offensive lineman that I should know, but he ain't coming. It's a crapshoot. And they're going to bring in, and they're going to get somebody, but I don't know how to feel about him. I mean, last year when they bought in, Damian George and Mazuka, you think, okay, well, they come from good programs. They're big, strong, blah, blah, blah.
Didn't work out.
You didn't work out.
And where was their emphasis? The offensive line. They got 2 coaches, including Rob Sale, the offensive coordinator. You think they're going to get all kind of players. That was the weakest part of the team at the end of the season. Did you hear about Deion Sanders? He went out and focused on one position in the group this week, offensive line. He got 5 offensive linemen, including a couple of 5-stars. And so now he has the number 1 class in the transfer portal. All right? So, that's the deal. So, I mean, anyway, look, we got a long way to go here. But I just want to get to the stadium. There lots of people are commenting about that. We're going to talk about the stadium and what we see. David and I have our view of what needs to take place. I've got a trivia question for Loren when he gets here about Heisman trophies. And I have the opponents for next year, and roughly, and this is what it looks like, allegedly. Open with Miami, play Samford, Texas A&M, UCF, at Tennessee, Georgia, Ole Miss, FSU, and you got TBAs for Kentucky, LSU, Mississippi State, and Texas. Now, I don't see a whole lot of wins in there. In fact, I can see maybe 6 if we're lucky. So we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow night when we have the actual schedule. We know the teams. So there's a lot of comments about the stadium, the new stadium. One guy said trading seats for suites. That's part of the deal. They're getting more money in there, fewer people, but more money. So we'll talk about that. We'll take a break. Let's hear from our first. Excuse me, I got the hiccups tonight. My great Japanese takeout food's coming back on me. So let me tell you about our sponsor tonight, the folks who make this possible on a Tuesday night. And we appreciate the sponsorship of their other programs. That's Titan MRI. Titan MRI worth the short drive to Gainesville. No insurance, no problem. You can pay cash or a card. You get same-day scheduling. So if you need an MRI, you get it right away. You can start feeling better today here in North Central Florida because Titan MRI is North Central Florida's #1 independent MRI facility right there in Gainesville. You can reach them and get same-day scheduling. Also, come see why hundreds of patients are visiting our Gainesville location from Ocala, Marion County, and the villages. That's TitanMRI.com. All right, David, let's go to a couple of things to talk about with the stadium. Let folks weigh in on it if they like, what they have to say about it. And a lot of people thought it was bad timing to bring it up right now. What do you think? And now they're talking about spending all these billions of dollars on the stadium. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Oh, bad timing to bring up the story or to build a new stadium. I think,
well, maybe both.
It's time. Yeah. Well, I think it's time to refurbish that stadium for sure. If you don't think so, then you haven't been to any other stadium in America and seen how far that stadium has fallen behind.
Yeah.
And just the normal, heck, it's not like you got to go fancy and build a Taj Mahal, but right now, it needs an upgrade, and there are no such things as cheap upgrades. Funny, I was at the gym yesterday and I heard some guys talking. I said, "Man, $400 million! Can you believe it? $400 million?" And that's crazy. Because that's what they pay for NFL stadiums. I want to say, well, actually, no. The average NFL stadium is going for like $2 billion now. Yeah. $400 million is chump change, and it's going to be more than 400. It may be pushing. If they go soup to nuts on this thing, it'll be pushing $1 billion. My guess it'll end up in the
1.5 billion range, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, they got to do it in phases. They have to do it in phases. But here's the backstory. Yeah. They've hired Crawford Architects. I don't know who that is, but anyway, apparently they're good. Association with Gensler. Gensler, right? Gensler developing a renovation.
Got their knives. The Gensler not. Gensu, I'm sorry. I get that.
Not the same thing, David. What year was Ben Hill built? 1930, okay? We'll have a significant transformation to modernize the fan experience while maintaining many of the traditional elements, atmosphere, capacity. What they're trying to say is they want to get those expensive suites in there and not squeeze out the average everyday paying customers. They're definitely going for the money. There's no doubt about that. More bucks, more money, fewer people, more money, more premium. And it says the design team will review recent comprehensive athletic department studies and advanced plans and concepts to touch every facet of the fan experience. The goal is to preserve the energy and history of the stadium while upgrading the concourses, entry gates, seating, concession stands, and restrooms, and enhances the video boards and sound system. I didn't see anything about the press box, which, by the way, has now become the worst in the SEC. But who cares? Nobody really. So it's really just gotten awful. It really has. So, David, I'm saying, okay, you and I have a few ideas about this, right? If we're going to do the stadium, let's do it. Let's consider things. Let's make it modern. Let's be contemporary and even consider the downturn they're having right now. We know they want expensive suites and the highest possible seating capacity they can get with all those expensive suites. So I was thinking, I know David will collaborate with me on this. So I'm thinking, given the situation that they have right now, maybe they should consider a few other things. Like, the Jacksonville pool they have there in Jacksonville? Mm-hmm. They'd have a pool, a sauna bath, and maybe a putt-putt golf course. Just in case they lose interest in the place. They got something to do while they're going bad. That'd be one thing. And then extra TVs for viewing of games in Tallahassee, Tuscaloosa, and Athens. So you can watch them play as well. Know what good football looks like. That's a couple. Like, I'm saving my big one to last. What you got, David?
Yeah. Well, I like the putt-putt thing. Although, with Florida's golf program doing well, they may just have like a complete simulated driving range there. Okay. Some of the UF golfers giving tips, and it could be part of their NIL deal, where they come and $100 an hour to get swing tips from Ian Poulter's son, who I guess is still playing for the Gators, or whoever's out there. You capitalize on that. But with the advent of AI, I think that really the options are just limited just to whatever your imagination comes up. I mean, you could get like AI vision glasses, just the portal thing where you put them on and you can create your own reality where they give up, that Arkansas thing. Nope. Change it all.
I like that a lot. That's really good. Yeah.
Those weren't 18 guys on the field right there. They were 11 and they made the field goal.
Take away quickly those extra players. They can't be seen. Yeah.
Sure. Just come on in. Yeah.
And you could have a counter up on the screen. Says how many players does Florida have on the field right now? Have a big number up there, and guess that. So.
It could be a guessing game, closest to the number of wins and some season tickets.
Yeah. First one is season 12, then you buzz it and you win, right? And then they call the coaches and tell them what was going on.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it, gambling is becoming more and more a part of.
I know what you're going to say, a poker room.
Yeah, you would just make it like a Seminole casino. You have the poker room,
not Seminole Casino. No.
That's
another
right.
word.
That's right.
Another word.
That is interesting. How are you going to get around that?
Seminole, like the Seminole moment.
Yeah.
Call it the Seminole.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because that it's going to be tough. To go to the tribal leaders and say, I know you've been called that S name for, I don't know, 1,000 years, or at least since we English speaking people came up. Would you consider changing it to something? I don't know. That'd be the Gator name, but maybe something neutral.
Osceola operated down here in Ocala, and he's pretty well known around here. There's a statue of him out in Silver Springs of stabbing the treaty that he didn't agree to, and what have you. But I like going back to your golf thing. You could have a launch pad from one end zone to the other, and have a launching platform. And you say you take your sandwich, be about 120 yards, and see who can get closest to the pin in the other end zone. Right.
Or if things are really going bad, you could have a hologram make the pin actually Billy Napier and say who gets closest to the Billy and actually hits him going in with the ball hits the hologram of Billy. Ding, 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 ding.
Wow.
You win.
Yeah, it's like the clown.
Something to more get rid of the frustration that's being built up.
Like a dunk tank.
So, and I think also the most photographed for the thing. There's the 3 Heisman winners out front. The statues.
Yeah.
Why not just have a 4th one of whoever wants to pay $1,000 to get up there?
Hey,
we made a statue. And have people pose in front of them.
Yeah, the guy who gives the most money every year gets a statue.
Right, just be that guy.
Yeah, there you go.
And, at this point, I can't really see a good statue of Hugh Hathcock. Here you've got Spurrier doing this, and Hathcock just reaching in his wallet and picking off 30s. Yeah, that's right. And as a Gator fan, you got to say thank you, Hugh, for doing that for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we got back
Sing a song
earlier. Yeah, if it wasn't for money guy, we make fun of the money guys in Arizona, but these days, if you ain't got them, you ain't got a program.
You got to have them. I'd say write a song about the guy who, like you sing "Don't Back Down," put his name in it. So the guy gives the most money. My best one, I think, I saved the last. While people are getting bored with us doing this, several people got ideas for changing the name. Here's my best one. You know how people get bored at halftime? They want out of there, right?
Oh.
And they can't get out of there after the game, or if they stay too late, and traffic's terrible, seating is horrible, it's hot, whatever. Well, I think they ought to consider the possibility of finding there's always something in the future Uber, flying Uber, and have a flying Uber place to get away with launch pad, so you can get in that daggone thing and fly home, be home in an hour, and from halftime, and you don't waste your time. But it's a ball game.
You must have been watching the Jetsons the other night, and you got this in your dream, and it came to you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, meet George Jetson.
Yeah,
and maybe he's a Gator fan. He can invent that stuff.
Ask him. We'll ask him.
Cars. Yeah, it may. They're on their way.
For sure.
I trust them as much as I do self-driving cars. Oh.
Yeah. All right, so a lot of comments about the stadium here. Coach Loren Meadows is standing by. Let's do this other commercial. we want to get some real information from football knowledge, not our silliness. We'll bring him aboard right now. Let's hear from our friend at Jeffrey Melvin Law Firm. Jeffrey, look forward to a great 2024 and being together with you and your wife to celebrate some special occasions.
Yeah, and buddy, I want to tell our Gator fans out there that Todd Golden is the real deal. Okay. In 1 year, he's put together this really tall team that's going to out-rebound just about everybody that they play. They've got some great shooters. We got 3 guards in there that are awesome.
Yep.
And I predict that the Gators are going to be a ranked team by the end of the season, and that you wait and see. They're going to make some noise around March Madness.
Sounds exciting. You'll be right there to report from courtside. Give us the inside scoop, Jeffrey.
Yeah, and January 6th is Meldon Law Day. We're playing Kentucky at the O-Dome. It's Meldon Law Day. We've got special shirts for everybody.
Giving stuff away again like you do all over the place. You're giving stuff away.
But it's going to be it's Kentucky, buddy. What do you got to say?
What are you going to do? Be a big night.
The home game against Kentucky is always the big game of the year.
Maybe I'll come sit with you tonight. So,
okay, January 6th, buddy.
All right, Jeffrey, have a happy holiday season. The best to you. And don't forget, Meldon Law, they do not back down, and they wish you a happy holiday season.
Yeah, happy holidays to everybody.
I hear some thunder going on, but Loren Meadows must be in the house with moving his microphone around again. That would be him. And at least he'll bring a little class to the show and be able to, talk football instead of silliness like us, like David and I, who get quirky on things like this. I loved all your ideas about the stadium, but I also questioned the timing of it. I don't think right now the money for the stadium. I mean, they got a plan. Let's see what Coach Meadows said. Good time, bad time. Is there ever a good time to talk about the new stadium? Coach Loren Meadows joins us. Good evening to you, Coach.
How you guys doing?
We're doing all right.
Very well, thank you.
All right.
You can tell he's the coach because he got the coaching headset on.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
he does. He's the real deal.
Yeah,
so.
I'm a double head. I'm a double guy too. I don't like just the one sided.
Oh yeah,
I like the double.
Yeah, me too. I've had these for about 5 years. I expect they'll break any minute.
Yeah,
I think I've paid.
If we stumble over, as soon as don't throw your headset down and go.
Yeah, I bet he could do that too, probably. All right, so the title of my show is today, the Florida Gators WTH. We had a discussion earlier about, is there a responsibility as a media person / journalist / whatever for you to report what you know to the public? And this morning on the Shane Matthews Show Pod Up, I got into that discussion with Shane, and some of the listeners and viewers said, it's none of your business, buddy. None of your business. Hello? Okay, I think it is my business because A, it's a public university, and B, if you let things go unnoticed, they have a way of getting mucked up pretty good, and sometimes a little scandal goes on you don't know about. I don't know. I know that you're a football guy, Loren, and a lot of football guys don't like the media snooping around, but now you're a media person. So how do you feel about that, Loren?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you do have a responsibility. It's your job. I mean, if you're a journalist and you're covering these things, I mean, you and I have talked about, I think, certain things, I try to stay out of people's personal lives and things like that. And I'm just talking about me personally. But when it's things that affect the program and could affect, what you might call the bottom line, which is wins and losses and things like that, absolutely, you have a right to report it.
Then we lost his audio, David. Lost your audio there, Loren, for a second.
You got me?
Now we do, yeah.
Oh, okay. I said, those people that say, well, it's none of your business, buddy, are the very same people that are clamoring for information when they want it. So you can't have it both ways. I mean, you got to go through and you got to report what you hear, what you know. And I think if you do it with respect and class, which you two definitely do, I mean, absolutely. I I think you have to report what you know. Like I said, I try to be careful because, a lot of times when you talk about people's children, which these young men and sometimes women are, you got to be careful. But if you hear things and it's worthwhile information, just like I'm sure people didn't want to hear that Jordan Seaton wasn't going to come to Florida, but I reported it because I was told. Would Billy Napier want that out a week before he made his decision? No, but that was the truth. And it was a really good source. So there you go.
David,
here first.
Yeah, David, what is the law about not telling the information about students, private information that the university has to abide by? I always forget that law, Butler or whatever it's called. I forgot. They hide behind that sometimes. Now, we can't give you that. That's forbidden by law. Now, look, here's the deal. When a guy's getting $800,000 to play football at Florida, the gloves got to come off. It's fair game. He's getting paid a lot of money to perform. It's a different standard. You say, he's just a high school boy of 18. I don't care. He's making $1 million playing football. He got to be held accountable for what he does, especially if he does something stupid off the field. You say, well, don't say anything about that. He just made a mistake. No, it changes the game, Loren. It's different than it used to be. Now, I don't like to beat up on kids either, high school kids especially. But now we're seeing it become a totally professional league. And if you're going to do that, I mean, stuff happens. You become vulnerable to criticism.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. That's a slippery slope. I think as this continues to evolve a little bit, I just think that, man, I mean, that's, it's you gotta be careful. And I think the money is going to give people an excuse to say a lot of things, do a lot of things, treat college athletes differently than they have in the past. And I think that's unfortunate in some ways. I'm not sure where this thing is going, but I mean, if something goes down, it's not like you're making anything up, So I think that's the thing is if it actually happens, it's going to get reported anyway. Like Herm Edwards used to say, if you do something, done and up, we going to report it. So I think that's one of those things where, hopefully.
Yeah, we missed the last part. Missed that last part. But anyway, let me get to some other subject here. David, we talked about Heisman's. I think everybody was happy with Jaden Daniels. He played so great. Florida helped him win it with that big number he put up there with how many yards was it total? I forgot now.
604 just for him.
Yeah. And so that kind of clinched it for him. The guy played fantastic. I got to thinking about Heisman trophies. I remember when Florida players used to win them back in the day, right? It seemed like they won some. Now, I looked at this today and I thought, what schools have won the most Heisman trophies? Florida used to be in that group back when they had 3 and others. Now that's changed. And can you name the 4 schools, both having together, who have the most Heisman?
Coach?
Well, Notre Dame.
That's one.
Notre Dame's one.
Mm-hmm.
USC?
USC's another.
Let's see.
Bama?
No. Alabama didn't have one. They have one until just a few years ago.
That's only in the last 10 years.
Until Ingram, they didn't. Until Ingram, they only had. Let's see, man. And then it gets murky. It's real like.
What is it? What?
Oklahoma?
Oklahoma is one. Yes. There's one more.
Oklahoma, okay.
Think about the big names in college football.
Not the Buckeyes, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Buckeyes.
Oh.
So Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and USC have the 4. So
4 is it, huh? Wow.
4 schools. Now, what's the most won by one school?
Notre Dame.
How many?
Yeah.
It's 8. It's 8, right?
7.
7.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the last one?
The last one,
Been a
Notre
while.
Dame,
Tim Brown. Tim Brown.
87.
Yeah, I know. It's
Tim
been
Brown.
No,
been a long
87.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tim Brown.
They used to hand them out like Happy Meals to Notre Dame guys.
They should have 8. Because Rocket Ishmael should have won the Heisman.
Yeah, you're probably right. All right, so I asked David about this earlier.
Who'd you vote for? Oh, sorry, buddy.
I'm not supposed
Who'd
to
you vote
say.
For that year, buddy?
I'm not that
No,
year.
that year.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
did
who
you
I
vote
voted for
Denver
last.
or Ishmael?
I don't know. I don't know who I voted for
Okay.
last year. I don't keep a record of it, but I can tell you who I voted for this year. I'm not supposed to, but he played quarterback for LSU. Okay, I was the number 1 guy, and I put a couple other SEC guys in there because I'm an SEC guy. So that's what it was. I could not
But
think.
go ahead and admit that you also voted for Jay Burwanger for the first one in 30.
No, I didn't vote for him that year.
Well, okay.
I voted for Hopalong Cassidy or whoever else was there. I didn't quite go back that far, but I started
University
voting
of Chicago.
I used to vote in the 60s, so I had a few. I didn't vote for Dick Casberry, by the way. So,
Did you vote for Spurrier? You have a vote that year?
Absolutely, I
67?
had to vote for Spurrier.
Okay.
My vote
say.
won him the Heisman Trophy. I won the Heisman for it.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
How close was that vote?
It wasn't that close, and we thought Greasy was going to overtake him because he had the Northern Bloc, And then those days, the people in the Eastern Bloc and Northern Bloc didn't recognize SEC football as being that great. And so I wrote a 4-part series or 5-part series about how hard it would be for Steve Spurrier to win the Heisman because of that so-called SEC bias. And he wound up winning it by not a lot, but he won it comfortably. So, and he won it while
under their breath. Yeah, when the Chicago precincts of dead sports writers hadn't checked in yet.
Yeah.
Right.
When he got the call, to come over to the coach's office. That's how he got the news. That's how he got his Heisman. They played Miami the next week and got beat. So, So all right. So let's see how that. Oh, here's a comment. You hear comments from former players. A guy who really was a great player. I thought Cedric Faison. Remember him? What a running back he was. He said, watching and seeing kids ruin their lives because they want to turn down D2 schools because they feel they're a D1. This is probably the worst high school signing year ever. That portal is different. And so don't let ego and pride mess you up. That's from Cedric Faison. There are some kids in the portal who are not going to have a football scholarship. They'll wind up talking to themselves right out, thinking they can go for the dollars. And that's the sad part, David and Loren, is that there'll be kids going for the gold and winding up with nothing. But it's the world we're in right now, because that's what it is. Did you guys hear about the Biletnikoff thing?
Yeah, one vote, right?
One vote. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Harrison
Right.
One vote. And he Marvin Harrison won it over excuse me,
kid from LSU.
Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors, who was probably a better player, although maybe Marvin Harrison will be a great pro. Brady didn't think so. Shane didn't think so. A fan from LSU said Harrison won the award thanks to his father, former NFL star. Malik Neighbors bested Harrison by 19 catches and 335 yards, while both stars got 14 touchdowns. LSU wideout leads the nation over 10-yard plus yards plays, 20-plus yards plays, and 30-plus plays. So I don't know. Which one would you take? Guys, would you take Marvin Harrison or would you take Malik Neighbors?
I think Neighbors won the award. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he probably deserved it. Although, the reaction, and I saw his. I think he tweeted something like "total lack of respect" or something like that. And I'm like, well, it's not like you lost to Buddy Rice, or something.
Buddy
like that.
Rice. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's just it. Who's Buddy Rice?
Yeah.
It's just, he's nobody.
Right.
But Marvin Harrison, no doubt his name helped him. No doubt playing at Ohio State helped him, and it probably didn't hurt that Ohio State was unbeaten until the last game of the year, whereas LSU, had 3 losses midway through the season. But you look at the stats, no doubt he probably should have gotten it. But that is the in the old days, he would have gotten, whoever got runner up by a vote would have heard about it, and he maybe would have thrown an ashtray through the window and let out a few MFs, and that's it. But now he just get on like Twitter and say lack of respect, and it's all over the world, and he comes off as sour grapes, basically. Because you don't want to lose, but it's not like Marvin Harrison is there's no shame in losing and getting second. And then I don't think it showed a lack of respect, on anybody's part. They respected him. They just, you can make a case for Harrison too. It's fine. I will say this though, it at least so far the LSU legislature and governor and state attorney had said
here it comes.
Investigate the Biletnikoff Award.
Here it comes. There it comes.
Yeah. Oh man, that's an eye roll. But I guess they had a press conference in Tallahassee at Doak Campbell Stadium to announce it. I think, man, is this an election year? I thought it was an off year. Next year is when they got to be doing this stuff.
Yeah. Lifelong Gator fan.
It's just like recruiting. You got to start early now.
Yeah, that's right.
You just got to start early now.
You got to stack those voters year after year.
Yeah.
Right. So I would have gone with Malik Neighbors as well. Marvin Harrison may end up being the better pro. Who knows? They're both going to be really good football players. Yeah. They both are good football players. And, I think Malik Neighbors deserved the award. I told somebody about week 6 that Malik Neighbors was going to probably win the Biletnikoff. And I was actually surprised when he didn't. But, Harrison's, like I said, a lot of things going with him. Hall of Fame father, Ohio State Buckeye, a lot of things, so.
I wonder if you wanted to do a straw poll, how many people would know who Fred Biletnikoff was?
Yeah. That is one good thing about these awards is that most of them were named after players who were in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, which, and now that, might as well be 1870s to someone born, in college right now. So they look up, like who, like if there are 50,000 students at Florida. If you stopped everyone and asked them who is Lou Groza, how many would 1 out of 50? Oh, I know, Lou the Toe. But now
you know what their answer would be? I wasn't born then.
Well,
I wasn't born when World War II was fought either, but I know about it. Look it up and read about it. Just because you weren't born then doesn't mean it didn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it gets Lou Groza in the conversation.
Yeah, it does. It does.
If Florida had a kicker who was up for it again, they say, who was this? Or, who was this Ray Guy guy? It's good in that respect.
Judd Davis won the Lou Groza. Judd Davis, he did. Yeah,
that's right.
Pride is that the pride of Steubenville, Ohio. Lou Groza, I believe.
Was he? Yeah. By the way, he was a pretty tough hombre. He was a pretty tough hombre.
Yeah,
he'd take you on. You know what I mean? That big old beer belly. All right, so now here's the thing I'm hearing. I'm trying to understand better all the modern talk and how do you communicate and how do you gauge things and how do you know if they're making progress. And here's one that kind of blew me away. What does this mean? I read this. Florida has made contact with Alabama wide receiver JaCorey Brooks, who recently entered the transfer portal. Made contact? I mean, I made contact with a lot of people. What does that mean?
Right.
I mean, really, is that how we judge it? We made contact?
No, it means that, a website needs content.
I get it. I got one too. I know.
The news would have been if they didn't make contact, if they didn't reach out to this guy. They probably made contact with what do you guess, Loren? 500 people? 500, But
well, another scoop. I sent them a name. They haven't contacted him yet, which, we'll talk about that another time. It's an SEC starter too. So, at a position they really need. So, I mean, I don't, right now, if we go down this whole list of what they're doing, I mean, making contact, I guess, means see if you can get him on campus for a visit, offer him on campus. I don't know. I mean, receivers, the least of Florida's worries. I mean, if you're going on a list of things that need to be corrected from a positional standpoint, receivers, not. I mean, I think they're going to be okay at receiver down the road. And I'm sure they'll get an experienced player to come in and do some things too. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sure they've contacted a lot of people that, in certain positions, things like that. But
I mean, do they do that? How about when they go out and do recruiting? Do they put that down? We visited Loren Meadows' home today, or we contacted his coach. I mean, that's nothing. No. That's nothing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess you guys to take it where you can get it. What do you guys know and think about this JUCO player, edge player? He was the fourth highest JUCO player, Brian Taylor Jr. Apparently had an offer from Houston, Georgia, Auburn, Tennessee. Anything on this guy, Loren?
Good size, 6'5", 260. Rangy. I think, from what I understand, has a little bit of a motor, but it's like wait and see, man. I mean, I'm kind of in wait and see mode now. I mean, could he be? You hope he turns out to be Jonathan Grenard or one of those guys, and and I wasn't thinking. I forgot. Justice Boone should be back too.
Yeah, he is back.
Yeah, so I mean, they could be pretty decent on the edge. The young kids are good, Searcy, and but so this will give them. But I like that he's built like a man already. 6'5", 260. He's got the perfect length to play the position. Florida really hadn't had somebody that rangy on the outside in quite some time. I think Cortland Bullard might have been the last person that they had, or Jonathan Bullard, excuse me, was the last person.
Cortland Bullard, did I miss him? I think that's possible.
No. He was at Ohio State. That's Jonathan Bullard. And, that was as long and rangy on the outside. So, I mean, I think that, the biggest thing that stood out to me was his measurables. Now, he could look like Tarzan and play like Jane. Time will tell. But, it's nice that they were able to grab somebody like that without a defensive line coach on the staff, and still able to get somebody that's as well respected coming out of the junior college.
Yeah, I guess. And I'll tell you one thing: they got to get heat on the quarterback.
Absolutely.
You realize they had David? How many interceptions do you think Florida had last year?
1, 2, 3.
Correctamundo. 3. I mean, I know a lot of guys who can get that many in a season,
Yeah.
3 interceptions, Loren. 3. That's 3.
If my math is correct, that's 1 every 4 games, which
that's
a recipe for getting your defensive secondary coach fired.
Yeah.
And,
they allowed 25 completions of 30 yards or longer.
Well, here's the thing. How many were there? I mean, here's the bigger issue. They weren't in position to make many more. I mean, I think they might have dropped 2, but otherwise they weren't even in position to make any more.
You know why? They don't play the ball. They play the man. That's why.
Yeah, well, they play a lot of grass too, but that's a whole nother point.
Yeah.
There are a myriad of reasons for that. But back to the JUCO kid, I guess with all these transfer things, the one thing that I do look at is who else was trying to get him. If it is, you thought Georgia, Alabama, something like that, you figure, well, then if that's true, and you always take it.
You never know.
You never know. He could be telling them, I was getting feelers from this one. Really, he was from Troy State. But if it was true, and he was, narrowing his actual choices.
Don't knock Troy State, okay? That's the only school that offered me a walk-on, okay? It was Troy State. That was it.
Okay. I hereby retract. Right? If he was getting it from like Bemidji State.
There you go. Yeah.
And he chose the Gators over Bemidji State. Okay, well, I don't know. But but I did read where, this kid, had Georgia, Bama, and other SEC schools. So assuming that's legit, you figure, well, that gives you a little bit more reason to think, okay, they may have something here.
Yeah. I want to talk about a couple of guys before we go off the air here. One is Derek Wingo. Loren, you might have been a part of this, might not. We had three back when we were getting players on last year. We had Derek Wingo on twice, maybe 3 times. I really like that kid a lot. He's a character guy. He came from Penn State. He decommitted, and first of all, he was playing in Lauderdale at what's the name of this, St. Thomas Aquinas, and he had to live there away from home. And his mother came down there and lived with him. No, I'm sorry, she did not. He was away from his mother all that time. So one reason he decided to come to Gainesville was his mother was going to move to Gainesville, and he was going to play for the Gators. She opened a cupcake shop there in Gainesville, and we used to have her on every now and then too. Anyway, he was named the Danny Werfel Man of the Year, and so he's had 2 volunteer trips, including 2 abroad, internship with NASA's Launch Service Program, and countless hours of community research. A really good kid and played hard. Not the most talented linebacker, but he gave it everything, and I liked him a lot. So congratulations to Derek Wingo, a guy who is a quality person and a decent football player. So other thing is, the latest news is that the Supermax Preps Player of the Year is out. The finalists are, and 2 of the players are DJ Lagway and Jeremiah Smith are 2 of the finalists. What you leave was to see both those guys in a Gator uniform.
That would make a lot of people happy around here, and take some of the heat off Billy, because that's the only way we're getting heat off right now. Is just hold on to Lagway, and if they got Smith, who he's been the source of great drama. Obviously, Loren knows all about that. Willie Oney, he's committed to Ohio State, right? But you hear Florida's in on him, FSU, blah, blah, blah. And he is, he's the guy on the outside. But, if they do get him, I'd say, whatever they're paying Lagway, he'd give him a nice Christmas bonus on top of it if he helps recruit Smith.
Yeah, for sure.
No doubt about it. Finder's fee.
Finder's fee, yeah. Sam Hartman has opted out of the bowl game. Notre Dame won't play quarterback for them. Guess Oregon State, get ready for some more of those. That's one thing about next year, guys. Don't you think that having 12 teams in the playoff will hold some of those players for the playoff games versus the bowl games?
Most definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah, you look pretty bad if you opted out of a playoff game to protect it. I mean, you can make the case easily for a meaningless bowl game, but nobody's going to say, that's a meaningless 12 versus 5 game. That's one way to ruin your legacy on the way out the door. If you care at all about that, as a college player. So it'll keep them in. Of course, if you're not in the one of the 12, it just further cheapens it, and the whole bowl experience. It's going to be interesting to see that what becomes of these bowls that aren't part of that whole thing. I mean, they are really just nothing but ESPN programming now. But it's like turning on MeTV and watching Hogan's Heroes again.
Pretty good show. Incidentally,
background noise.
Yeah. We'll go out on this. I'll get your comments. I had a dream the other night. I dreamed there was a baseball player from Japan who signs a 10-year contract for $700 million. I know it had to be a dream, David.
And this is after a guy who blew out his elbow, and so you could make you're getting the best pitcher in the game there, but he may not, he's not going to pitch next year at all, and down the road you don't know, but 700, it just you hate to come off as old guy on the lawn saying get off my $70 lawn, but who would, if you'd have gone into a coma 20 years and said one player would get 700, it just I remember I was scratching my head when Malcolm Glazer paid $193 million for the Bucks in 1990. It was like everybody was. It was obscene.
Get a whole franchise for that money.
Yeah, and until a couple, like 5 years, that would have bought you an NFL franchise. Yeah. But financially, it probably does make sense. He is such a going to. He's in the LA, but it's a different thing playing for the Dodgers as opposed to the Angels. Yeah. And Yeah, and they have an $8 billion just local TV deal, and holy, it may be worth them. It just. I just wish that I just wish my children were talented, talented young athletes. That's what I'm saying. I would like them to buy me that private island here in about 5 years, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, Loren, you better tell your kids to go play baseball.
Well, unfortunately, I'm with David. They're both grown and they were not as gifted. But I did tell all my buddies, I said, all you guys that got youngins, I got one word for you: baseball. Mm-hmm. And, the price of nachos at Chavez Ravine is definitely going up because, from $30 to $40. And, it's funny. The other day I heard after taxes on that $70 million in California taxes, it's like $42 million. But
taxes. Here's the thing: the new deal is he's going to take $2 million a year, and then at the end of 2 years, he's going to collect his $68 million, and by that he has a right to live in any state he wants to.
Something tells me he's going to be moving to Texas or Florida.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, it's set up residence elsewhere.
He gets traded to the Tampa Bay what is their name again? Tampa Bay Rays. Yeah. His last 2 years, then he gets $68 million, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What
I don't know what the tax rate is in Japan. Lauren,
pretty high.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I think it's pretty high. Yeah. But I think
you ought to. Where do they all go? Monaco, the great tax haven there.
Yeah.
So I can see
Cayman Islands.
Go live in a boat. Live on a boat nowhere. Whatever.
$700 million. You could buy your own country and make it a zero tax.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Well, I hope Social Security goes up. That's all I got to say. All right, guys.
I was going to say one more thing. I always like to, sometimes the comments scroll by, and I will say this because I do consider myself the resident media expert on the receiver position.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Harrison.
Well, we lost you. Lauren, to repeat it.
I said that Marvin Harrison would make plays in any league, in the SEC, anyone to play in, because you have to think his quarterback was not nearly as good as Jaden Daniels. So you put Marvin Harrison with Jaden Daniels, he'd be pretty darn good.
A lot of people think Malik Neighbors is better.
Well, see, that is true. I would have had Jaden Daniels throwing me the ball this year than what was it, McCoy?
Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord, yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
All right, guys, beautiful job. And thanks for your participation in tonight's quirky GatorBaitMedia.com program. And, I like those. All those are good recommendations, David, we could come up with. Putt, golf course, a pool, solid bath, launch pad for hitting golf balls, the flying Ubers to get out of the game at halftime and things like that.
And that fourth Heisman statue.
Right. Or to the guy who pays the most money.
Did you talk about the retractable seats, buddy?
We have not. No? You go ahead and bring it up.
Didn't you say something about retractable
seats? I did tell you earlier tonight.
No, you said it, didn't you?
I did, but we didn't bring it up. The reason being that because when you get a low crowd, you just take the seats out and you can't tell. You're only 30,000 there instead of now it's 50,000, and you get the seats out of the way. You can't see them. So,
hey, look, as long as they have non-binary bathroom, that's what I'm.
What's that mean? Do you mean either sex you use them?
That's right. Yeah. Unisex bath. You got to keep up with the times, buddy.
Yeah. I went to my first one in San Francisco in 1970 something, and I mentioned it in the column. And some guy freaked out. You went to a unisex bathroom? I can't believe that. It was really radical. Yeah. In my house, when I grew up, it was always a unisex bathroom. I mean, anybody could use it.
Yeah,
maybe not at the same time, but
right.
Gentlemen, thank you. Go ahead, Lauren.
Cleanest bathrooms in any facility, though, is the unisex non-binary bathrooms. So if you're ever in a pinch and you want some private time, those are definitely the cleanest.
Sounds like he knows what he's talking. He knows what he's talking about. I think, David. I don't know. All right, gentlemen.
Minneapolis Airport, man.
All right. Now he's going to start taking off airports. Time to go. All right. Thank you, Coach Meadows and Coach Whitley. Good job. Appreciate it. All right.
Guys.
Good night, guys. All right, folks. Thank you for listening and watching. I want to talk about our special sponsorship, our friends at RenStar, who've been supporting this program for a long time. And they also support our community here in Ocala in several ways. Number one, they're good stewards, and they're able to participate in some support of the city and some of the functions and what have you. And they do things down there in a first-class way, including a high-quality, patient-centered clinical research facility right there in downtown. RenStar Medical Research brings cutting-edge research trials to Ocala in such areas as Alzheimer's, dementia, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraine, and fibromyalgia, along with many other conditions that affect us right here in our community. In fact, they want you to participate in some of these trials because it helps them identify some of the needs medically that they need to have to get information to these biomedical and pharmaceutical companies. If you want to take part in one of these, contact them. Go to renstar.net and look up the information. You could be eligible for time and travel, be compensated. RenStar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Good show tonight, folks. Appreciate it very much. Tomorrow night, we got Chris Doring and Edgar Thompson and David Moulton. So tune us in there. Well, thank you very much.